Thank you, Mr. Chair. Witnesses, it's great to hear what you had to say. I'm sorry that I've been back and forth. I was able to hear most of your opening statements, and thank you for your opinions. Thank you for the work that you all have achieved to get here and to provide such valuable information. And from my background, I agree with most of what was said, and my personal belief is that the border crisis of the last 4 years was an intentional act inflicted upon the American people. There were mechanisms that were used and procedures that were implemented that had never been used before. And as a prosecutor in the Department of Justice, I saw internally how they made it more difficult than it had ever been in my career to prosecute illegal immigrant criminals. And whether it was the temporary protective status, whether it was the refusal for permission, whether it was change of policy, whatever it was, the nerve center of Washington, D.C., again, made it more difficult for people in the United States to protect themselves against illegal immigrant crime or just the overflow of people who came into our communities. And Mr. Melnick, I do want to talk to you. I heard your opening statement. And again, from my perspective, labeling the Biden-Harris record on immigration as mixed, I think is sort of a gross misstatement. And just on a basic level, would you be willing to admit that the Biden-Harris administration was willing to incentivize illegal immigration?
No, I don't think that's accurate, and I'm happy to explain more if you'd like.
Well, would you admit that there were obviously motivations beyond just asylum seekers that propelled people into the United States?
Yeah, there was a mixed flow. There were a genuine, legitimate asylum seekers, tens of thousands of which who have won their cases every year, and there were economic migrants, absolutely.
And in the United States, taxpayers foot the bill for health care for illegal immigrants, isn't that correct?
It really depends on the circumstance. We know undocumented.
All right, I'll play favorable. In some instances, taxpayers foot the bill for health care for illegal immigrants, correct?
EMTALA requires emergency rooms treat every person regardless of status, yes.
Well, in some states, there are programs where you don't have to be here legally and you can get access to Medicaid, correct?
I believe some states have emergency Medicaid for pregnant women, yes.
And in some instances, taxpayers foot the bill for housing for illegal immigrants, is that correct?
Again, in some circumstances, some communities have opened up status programs to people regardless of immigration.
So taxpayers foot the bill for health care, housing. There's also transportation costs that are inflicted on the taxpayers, correct?
I'm unaware of what you're referring to there.
Well, people were flown into the country illegally. Once they were here illegally, they were bussed all over the country. They arrived in New York City, California, North Carolina, Texas, Illinois, at the taxpayers' expense, correct?
Yes, Governor Abbott chose to run that program.
And, well, he's not the only person that ran that program, correct?
There
are dollars far beyond Texas that put illegal immigrants all over this country.
Other states and communities offered up travel vouchers to some individuals who wanted to travel to other countries.
And in some instances, upon arrival, illegal immigrants can get driver's licenses. Isn't that correct?
In some states, driver's licenses are available to any resident regardless of immigration status.
And even in some municipalities, people who are here outside the permission of the law can even vote. Isn't that correct?
I am unfamiliar with any who allow that. There are some states that allow non-citizens to vote. I'm unsure whether that applies to people who are here in violation of immigration law.
So just so we're clear, there was the program that allows health care, housing, transportation, food, driver's licenses, and even the right to vote. And the advocates for the Biden-Harris administration say there were not incentives for illegal immigrants to come here. Hypothetically, let me ask you this. Illegal immigrants are counted in the census, correct?
That's correct.
So if California loses 1 million American citizens, 1 million taxpayers because of the overregulation, the high cost of living, whatever it may be, and 1 million illegal immigrants are sent to California, they don't lose one electoral vote. Isn't that correct? It's basic math. Isn't that correct?
It depends on the other populations, actually, because if other states grow higher, the formula is actually quite complicated.
They're not penalized by driving 1 million American taxpayers out of their state. Isn't that correct? If they've refilled those seats with 1 million illegal immigrants.
It depends on population growth and changes elsewhere. The formula is quite complicated. A state can maintain a stable population and still gain or lose representation.
But they are able to maintain their electoral clout as if no one had left their state, correct? correct?
Again, this is a complicated formula. It depends on other states and the overall population growth. Maintaining a stable level of population does not necessarily lead to the same level of representatives.
Well, gaining 1 million illegal immigrants at minimum, maintains electoral clout, correct?
It would maintain population, certainly.
Yes, and that's counted in the Electoral College.
Yes.
That's counted in the House of Representatives representation, correct?
Yes, though I'll of course note Texas and Florida are the second and third highest level of undocumented immigrants in the country.
That's not the question, but I appreciate the point. Illegal immigrants are afforded representation at the expense of citizens in states wherever they are.
I would not say at the expense.
You don't have to. Again, you're advocating for Biden and Harris. It's my time, sir. You are advocating for Biden and Harris's immigration record, which again, I think is a gross over-complementary position. Ms. Reese.
Mr. Knott, I'm sorry, but your time has expired.
We'll talk soon. Thank you, ma'am.